Oh my God.
It looks like my dad.
Down. I don't want you to read my book.
That's not my book.
It's not mine. I'm pretty sure that's yours. That's your handwriting.
Blue is
And you draw. I would not do that.
And then this one is on the other page.
That guy knows what to say.
This is really good.
Yeah, well, let's just see the answers. Okay, I didn't look because I didn't get them.
No. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that email.
Okay. Who looked at a cow and said, "I'm gonna drink everything"?
Wait, it is? Okay, I didn't. Yeah, that's what it was. Like, I thought it was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I gotta call Milk Cow. That would be What does that mean? That's a weird one.
I don't know if he were. She's saying it like now, like on my actual break. Yeah. Hands on time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Bro, that is so sad.
Hey, go ahead, if you owe me homework, go ahead and get out your homework. Make sure it is in order. I have a stapler that I can pass around.
I need to explain mine on how it works.
You just need to make an
It's like
answer.
this one.
Okay.
This one's on the other page.
Stapler, who needs a stapler? This is just for the homework that you did not turn in Monday. This is not the worksheet yet. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So just the homework, if you did not turn in the homework that was due Monday, that's what I'm collecting right now.
Oh, I was like, wait, I thought the book stuff wasn't due yet. So scared. I was like, yeah, I was like, no. I did.
I know, I felt satisfied with it.
Yeah.
What is that?
This happened.
Oh gosh.
I remember you like made that. Good job.
What is that? I'm not confident.
Evelyn, are you okay?
Ow!
Are you okay?
From Monday, you have Al, we're going to check it in just a minute because I did not send the answers for that, so we're going to check it right now. Realistically, what do you mean you turned it in? Chad, what do you mean you turned it in?
Oh, I turned
So the homework we had Monday night, you couldn't have turned in on Monday. So you wouldn't have done it.
I'm so confused.
Do I have everybody's homework starting with lesson 22 that was due on Monday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody owes me anything because everybody turned it in. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is when you get these back, I will be putting a little piece of paper on the front of it saying, and it's going to be like a little chart where I tell the points, what points you earned. So did you with each lesson number and your name like I asked you to, you'll get points. Did you do your work? Was it all complete? You'll get points for that. Did you check it and put the paper -0, -1, -2, whatever? And then make corrections. You'll get points for that. Then I'm going to do a random answer check to see. So I'm just going to pick several from each thing to make sure that they are the right answers, that you did get the right answers, that you correctly got the right answers. So I'm going to be looking for accuracy. You'll get points for that. Okay. So I will staple that to your page so you will see if you didn't earn full credit, what did you get counted off for? So that way you know for the next batch of homework that comes in, hey, I forgot to do this, so this is what I've got to do better on. Remember, if you follow those directions that I emailed to you, if you follow those exactly as I laid it out, then you should get 100% on your homework. There should be nothing you're counted off on. So just like Monday, I was quite surprised. I was waiting to see what was going to happen. I had no one email me and say, hey, I need the homework answers to check my homework for Monday. I didn't email them. Did y'all notice that? So we had homework Monday, right? All right. We had homework from our textbook that I should have sent y'all answers for. But not a person in this class said, hey, I've done my homework and I need the answers. Now, there are some of y'all that may have teacher's guides at home, and maybe your parents checked it through that, or you checked it through that, and that's fine. But the main thing is so I'm concerned that means that y'all have not done y'all's homework for Monday. So go ahead and get out the homework for Monday.
I thought that was for the second, so I thought you were just going to.
So what did I say in class? All eyes and ears this way, okay? If there is an assignment that comes from this book right here, okay? If I say do problems in this yellow book, number one, it is to be written on notebook paper. It is to follow the homework guidelines that I sent to you that you have, that I said printed this out and put it in your notebook so you've got it to check each assignment. Make sure you have your heading. Did you write the lesson number? Did you work out each problem and show the work? Did you check the answers and make corrections? Do y'all remember on Monday I said do not wait until the work is due to do it. Do it when it is assigned. Check it and make corrections, because if you wait and try to do 2 weeks worth of homework just to hand it in on the Monday it's due, you're going to be a hot mess and a half. Not even just a hot mess and a half. You're not going to know what in the world to do with that work. It's going to be a lot of work on you to do the work, to write it out, to check it, correct it, and do all that stuff. You are not going to understand the material, because if you have not done Monday's work, when we come in and do today's work, you're going to have a clue what we're doing. In case y'all haven't noticed, this all builds on each other. The lesson that we did Monday will help us for today's assignment. You haven't done Monday's work, you don't know what we're doing today. So basically you're sitting in class going, well, I haven't done homework for Monday, so I guess I'm not going to get today. So then when you get to do today's work, you're not going to have a clue what you're doing. Do not wait to do your homework out of the text. It is expected, whatever is given on a class day, it should be completed, checked, and corrected before the next class date. I told you guys that this was due today. Hand it in today, ready to have today. So I'm getting ready to take this one up right now. The work you will not pass in until the next Monday we meet. But the work from Monday should have been just today. Because then I can say, hey, you did the work, you checked it, you made corrections. Is there anything you're stuck on? And then if you go, hey, I tried to correct. Can I use you for an example? I got a text from Claire saying I'm stuck on this problem. I've tried to correct it and I cannot figure out what's going on. So I circled where I saw she had made a mistake and said, look at this. And then she goes, oh. So by doing the homework, by making the correction, she's coming here today saying, I'm ready to move on because I know the mistakes I made from Monday's work, so I'm ready for Thursday's work. So the work that you get assigned from this book, I need you to have it done by the next class date, because as I go up and I say, hey, did we have any questions? That's going to be the time where you have tried to work it and you missed it. You tried the correction and you missed it. And now in class you go, hey, I tried to fix this and I can't. So then I do it for the class. Okay, but the only way I know to help somebody with homework is when you let me know you need help. The times that I'm going to be doing that, if you're not reaching out to me individually, is each day when I come in class, I'm going to say, do you need help for Monday's homework on Thursdays? So then next Monday when we start class, I'm going to say, okay, did anybody have any questions from Thursday's work? If everybody goes, nope, I'm good, then I move on. Okay, because you should have already done your work from the book. Everybody clear about that? So just because you're not going to actually hand it to me until the following Monday that we meet back at co-op, doesn't mean that it's not to be done. It doesn't mean wait and do your homework later. Okay? So it doesn't mean to wait to do that work. Do it before the next class after it's assigned. So what's assigned today, I'm expecting you to have Monday. I tried to make it less work on you to the uploading and being able just to hang on to all your work and hand it in at one time. That's why we had to shift to the notebook paper, because you can't hand your workbook in. Okay, so that's why we had to shift to you doing the work on paper. So that is the reason for that. But then, so next Monday that we meet back at co-op, you're going to be handing me the work that we started this past Monday. So you're going to give me the work from Monday and today and next Monday and next Thursday. You'll have 4 days of work that you turn in the next Monday we come back to co-op. Okay? But don't wait. Just because you don't actually have to turn it in doesn't mean don't do it. All right? Is everybody clear on when this stuff is to be completed? Is everybody clear on when it's to be turned in? Those are two different things. Completion and turning in are two different things with our book. Okay? So now I need your worksheets. Okay? If you worked on additional paper and you had other pages, if you need to staple extra work to it, let me know and I'll give you the stapler. If you don't need to staple anything, hand it in. Okay. Good. Thank you. Where's your worksheet? Okay, you're gonna have to upload it to me or take pictures and text it to me, okay? And for it not to be counted late, I need it this afternoon.
I need to staple it, but I have to reach.
Okay. Okay. Will you do me a favor and where you say when it says on the other page, will you write back on there so I won't be looking on the other piece of paper to know to look to the back of the paper. Thank you.
Did you say that? I said that.
The main thing is y'all know that I'm, with so much going on that we'll talk about it now, and then when I look, I'm gonna go, I'll see it on the other page. I'm gonna totally forget we had this conversation, so that'll just help me. Thank you, dear. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and open up your book to the assignment that we had from the book. Let me get my screen projected. Okay, so open up to page 58. Page 58 in your workbook.
You're at 8. Oh, I was wondering what was wrong with that. It's like 8. It's only less than 50.
Okay, so page 58. I'm going to go ahead and just read out the answers. We're not going to go over anything right now. We'll just go through. I want you to write the answers down if you have not already checked your work. Because what's going to happen is we're going to be sent a test that we're going to be testing on this material. So if you wait and do work after you've done the test, and that doesn't exactly help you for the test, does it? All right, so lesson 26, page 58. Number 1, x is equal to -8. Number 2, x is equal to -6. Remember, we numbered side to side. Number 3, x is equal to -7. And number 4, x is equal to 5. So if you did your work and you're checking it, go ahead and check it. Just more corrections, yes.
Supposed to do extraneous?
You don't have to do extraneous. If you did it, great.
I did that.
Maybe you'll get some bonus points for that.
I think I got my son.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Listen up. So activities 4. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 going from side to side, and I told y'all did not have to write each property of equality. So the first one, x is equal to 8. No, I jumped down. I'm sorry. I went too far.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Number 1, x is equal to 4. Number 1, activities 4, x is equal to 4. Number 2, x is equal to 3. Number 3, x is equal to 8. And number 4, x is equal to 7. Okay? So if you have not done your homework yet, now you've got the answers to check it once you're done. Okay? Now what I would like you to do is to get out a sheet of paper. If you don't have paper, you're going to need to borrow from a neighbor.
I use white line. I like white line, but I want it really big with white line. I have more eligible. I like white line when I want to write big, but I can't really write big for school. Because when I'm doing. Wow. I have to have this paper because I get so mad when it rips. And it's just a bit my mom doesn't like it. So
Open your textbook to lesson 22 on page 49. Page 49, lesson 22.
is this study guide? Okay.
Lesson what? Lesson 22, page 49. So open your textbook to page 49.
I didn't mean to yell.
Okay. All right, so on your piece of paper at the top, write your name. And just so everybody's clear, y'all know that your heading is supposed to have your name. Like when I did the sample, it had my name because that's my name. And so if I was heading my paper, I'd put Jennifer Fountain on mine. I don't want you to put Jennifer Fountain.
I did that.
You're not the only one.
I thought it was like the teacher.
No, and that's what it dawned on me that it could be that you were thinking, you know, what teacher's class. So anyways, but the main thing is make sure you put your name, not mine. Okay. And this is so put your name, and then I want you to write. Let's see, this is our unit 4, right? Test unit 4 study guide.
I cannot see
Ooh,
anything on
what is up with that?
I can't either. It's really blurry. Oh, is it hitting this blurry? I know.
It could just be that it's not big enough.
Stud guide. What? Stud guide. Where you put SG? That's my. Yeah, I'm a stud. That's what my grandma said.
Your grandma says you're a stud?
Yeah. Shut up.
You make it a little bit thicker and I'll do it brighter.
Wait, what?
It gives me that every time I say no. Oh, that's better. Kind of. Oh, now.
Is that better? All right.
I can't. I'm not wearing my I can see. Really?
Okay. Unit 4 study guide. So lesson 22 is rationalizing the denominator. Rationalizing the denominator. I know my handwriting on this thing is awful, so. Okay. What does it mean when I rationalize the denominator?
You take the radical out of the bottom part.
Okay, eliminate the radical in the denominator. Means I need to eliminate the radical in the denominator. How do I do that?
By multiplying.
By multiplying the fraction, eliminate the radical in the denominator by multiplying the fraction by a fraction equal to 1. Using the radical as the numerator and denominator. So my example of that would be like if I had the square root of 5 over the square root of 5. I've got the same radical in my numerator and denominator, but it's equal to 1. Now, how do I decide how many times I need to be able to multiply?
By the index.
I have to use the index to determine how many times. So I'm going to make a little ask and put use index to determine how many times to multiply to eliminate radical in denominator. Use the index to determine how many times to multiply to eliminate the radical in the denominator. So if it's a square root, I know that I already have my problem, and I need to multiply it by a factor of 1, whatever that radical is over the radical, one more time. If it's a cubed root, I've got to multiply it 2 more times. Multiply it times. Okay, the main thing is I have to multiply it as many times as I need to based on the index to be able to clear the denominator. Make another asterisk. All simplify final answer.
What's the word after multiply?
I think that's supposed to be variable.
After the asterisk, use index to determine how many times to multiply to eliminate radical in denominator. Maybe if I turn this a little bit, I won't have that ledge to prop my hand on it. I can write better. And then always simplify your final answer. Always simplify your final answer. That means if I end up with a fraction, I've got to make sure that let's do this real quick. I have simplified my radicals. Okay, so if I end up with an answer and I have a radical in the numerator, I've got to make sure it's simplified. I've got to make sure that there's not any buddies that I can pull out. Always, always, always simplify. So that's going to be lesson 22. Rationalize the denominator. Okay, now turn to lesson 23, dividing radicals. So now I have lesson 23, dividing radicals. What is step 1 of dividing radicals?
Divide coefficients.
Divide coefficients. What are coefficients? The whole numbers in front of the radical. So the coefficients, if you don't know what a coefficient is, then you need to write in parentheses the whole number in front of the radical. If you know what a coefficient is, you're good with just writing divide coefficients. What is step 2?
Divide the radicals.
Actually, I thought this was going to be. Step 1 was divide coefficients. Divide coefficients. Step 2 is divide the radicands. What are radicands?
The one under the radical.
Good. Radicands are the numbers underneath the radical sign. So divide the radicands. What is step 3?
Rationalize denominator if necessary.
Rationalize the denominator if necessary. I'm going to put in parentheses, that is from lesson 22. Okay, so rationalize the denominator if necessary. That is from lesson 22. Chad,
What's the coefficient again?
it's the number in front of the radical. The whole number in front of radical. Okay. What is step 4?
Reduce if necessary.
reduce if necessary. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my little asterisk at the end. Make sure to simplify. Final answer. This is any time. It could be fractions you need to simplify. It could be the radicals that you need to simplify. Simplify everything. All right, turn to lesson 24. Multiplying radicals. Multiply radicals. Parentheses, inside parentheses. Distribute. So I'm going to put use the distributive property. I'm going to put P or OP. Use the distributive property to multiply each term inside parentheses by the term outside parentheses. Multiplying radicals, use the distributive property to multiply each term inside parentheses by the term outside parentheses. It's 25. Dividing radical expressions. This is on page 55. I need to divide each term inside parentheses by the term outside parentheses. Now, this dividing each term, I'm going back and using this learned in lesson 23 because I'm having to set up 2 or more division problems. Use steps Come on.
You can do it.
I have it written on here, but it just has not made it through the Wi-Fi to get up there yet.
Oh, there it goes.
All right, now we kind of use the steps from lesson 23. So lesson 25, I'm dividing my terms inside parentheses by the term outside parentheses. I'm having to set up at least 2 division problems, if not more, if they're depending on the number of terms. But I've got to follow those steps from lesson 23. So if I'm not confident in lesson 23, then I'm going to have trouble with lesson 25. Lesson 26.
No. Because then this is not.
Oh.
Because I write heavy.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Solving radical equations. What was my first step in lesson 26?
Isolate anti-radical.
Isolate the radical. Isolate the radical. What is step 2?
Square both sides of the equation.
Square both sides of the equation. Step 3.
Solve for variable.
Solve for the variable. Step 4.
Check for extreme.
Check for extraneous solutions. Thank you. Come on. It's just not wanting to connect. Okay, so that is going to be your study guide. What you need to make sure you know how you're going to stay.
There's no lessons.
I guess I'm so live. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to lesson 27 today, dealing with scientific notation. So go ahead and open to page 59 in your book.
Yay.
It's fun.
I know, but I don't think that's
I know how to do this.
Why did you close my book?
Well, that's a view.
your childhood. Yeah, it makes me sad too.
I never found one because I know how to do that. Yeah. Kinsley likes that.
Okay, lesson 27.
I'm not that good at it, but I like it.
I like it. I never
Some things are just like, no.
what we've been learning from
Really? I like scientific notation, and sometimes the little like
oh, this batch is
Alrighty.
I know I am.
Okay. Bring it back in. Lesson 27, page 59. Scientific notation. So if we look at the number written at the top of our page on page 59, it says, do you find it difficult to read the number? And I've got a whole bunch of zeros there after my decimal. Okay? Does everybody see where we are?
Yes.
Circle that number. The big number. Actually, is it a big number or is it a little number?
It's a little one.
It's a teeny tiny number. Okay?
But it has a lot of.
It's got a whole bunch of zeros, but we know if it's got a bunch of zeros after the decimal, it's a teeny tiny number. Okay? So it says it is difficult to work with large numbers. Go ahead and circle this large number that has 467 something or others. Okay? And a lot of our calculators will not even go past, I think it's like 9 places. So sometimes even our calculators will not hold the numbers that we need to work with. And so that's where scientific notation comes in handy. Okay? So scientists and mathematicians have a different way to handle these kinds of numbers to make them easier to work with. Scientific notation is a method of writing very large and very small numbers. So go ahead and underline that. Scientific notation is a way of writing very small and very large numbers. Okay? It says using this notation where numbers are written in the format of m times 10 to the p power. Okay? So what we're going to talk about that is m times 10 to the p. Okay? This is the format that we're going to follow. And what that means is m is what we're going to call the mantissa. And the mantissa is going to be a number. Okay, so the mantissa is always greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10. So the way I write that is 1 is greater than or equal to m, which is less than 10. So basically I'm talking about a number that's going to be between 1 and 10. Yes?
Are we gonna put this this like format in the little yellow thing that we gave us?
If you want to. That's going to be totally up to you. Yeah, if that's something that's going to help you. So remember, the mantissa is going to be that first number that comes before the times sign. Okay, the mantissa comes before my times sign. All right. Now, what does the P stand for?
Oh, that's like exponent.
Okay. The P, if you scoot down the page, first of all, let's read about the mantissa. After we see 1 is less than or equal to m, which is less than 10, in the middle of the green box, it says the mantissa begins with the first non-zero digit in the standard form of the number. Let me back up for a minute. Let's underline that as well. Okay, so underline that. The mantissa is the first non-zero number when written in standard form. So those big numbers that you circled, that would be considered standard form. That one with the decimal and a whole bunch of zeros, that's standard form. So if I was going to write that number, let's see how many zeros it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've already lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I got 14 as well.
Okay, so look at this number that you circled.
Oh, the five.
What is the first non-zero number in standard form in this problem? Okay, so listen up. So the mantissa in this problem, when I look at my number, my first non-zero number when it's in standard form would be the 5. Okay, and so that is where I'm going to put my decimal. So now my mantissa is 5.9. Because remember, that number has to be between 1 and 10. So if I said, oh, it's 59, I know 59 can't work because 59 is larger than 10. So it has to be 5.9. Okay, so I put my decimal there. It says a decimal point is always placed after the first non-zero digit, so the mantissa will be less than 10. So place a decimal after the first non-zero number to make number less than 10. Okay. Now let's look at the second example where we have 4, 6, 7, and I've got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. What is our first non-zero number? 4. So I know that I'm going to have 4.67 is going to be my mantissa.
I just put this one in where I think you know this
Okay.
number that you said.
Now, to find the value of P, you have to count the number of places the decimal point must move from its original place. So look at our first number where we have the decimal and a whole bunch of zeros and a 5. So notice where I start with my decimal, I move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 places. So I had to move that 15 places. So when I write times 10, I'm going to be writing my value of P is that number of places that I had to move my decimal from the original standard notation or standard form to scientific notation. Okay? So P equals the number of places you must move the decimal to get the mantissa. I guess it's time for break. So go ahead and take a break. We'll come back to this.
There it goes.
There it is. It takes so long.
I don't know this year. I don't know. I don't know, David. I gotta go to class. My class is starting. Now it's working. You do. Oh, come.
I'm all up in your stuff. You're good. I'm just doing this real quick. And then I'll get out of your way.
I think I got that one right. And this
That hand just goes behind that.
okay,
thing.
no.
Alrighty.
I got these ones? No, those are the answers. Oh.
You mistake.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get back to our number we were dealing with. We were getting ready to deal with our larger number, 4.67.
Yes.
And so we said that that is where we needed to put our decimal was going to be between the 4 and the 6. Okay, if that's the place I need to move it to, my original location of my decimal in a big number is going to be at the very end. So I've got to look at, if my decimal is at the end, how many places am I moving it to the left? So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 places. Now, one of the things that we need to look at here okay. So notice that when I start at the right-hand side, and move my decimal to the left, I'm going to have a positive number there. Okay? So that is going to be 14. When I start with my decimal at the end and I move it to the right, it's going to be a negative number. So that would be a negative 15. Okay? So when you write those, it's going to be a negative exponent when I have a teeny tiny number. Okay? My exponents will be negative if my standard form is a tiny number, meaning that it's after the decimal. If my number is a big number, if it's representing a large number, then I'm going to have a positive exponent. Okay, so positive exponents imply larger numbers, which means my standard form number will come before the decimal. Negative exponents mean it's going to be a tiny number, which means my number will come after the decimal. So let's go ahead and look at the examples we have here on page 59 in classwork 1. So we're going to start with 354,000.
What was the answer for that first example one?
So it's going to end up
in my notes.
Okay. Look right here.
Oh.
Okay. So everything that I just went through is coming from this green box right here. Okay. So the first one here, it tells us that when I move my decimal to the left, I have a negative exponent. Okay. I hope everybody's paying attention because if we were to have this, so in the first example, it would be a negative exponent. In the second, it's going to be a positive exponent representing a larger number. So now I've got to write 354,000 in standard form, and in scientific notation. What is my first step? I'm going to look at my first non-zero number, and that's where my decimal is going to go. So I know my decimal will be right there, so I'm going to have 3.54 will become my mantissa. Remember, when I'm looking at my number, the first non-zero number. So 3.54 is a number that would be between 1 and 0. To get my decimal there, how many places am I moving my decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the left. So when I go ahead and write my problem, I've got 3.54 times 10 to the 5th power. Remember, a positive exponent means I'm writing a large number in scientific notation. What about 98,000? Where is my decimal going to go? Between the 9 and the 8. How many places am I going to move my decimal?
4.
4. It will be 9.8 times 10 to the 4th.
That's the next one.
Let's look at 7,600,000.
7.8 times 10 to the
Where is my decimal going to go?
7 and 6.
Between the 7 and the 6. How many places will I have to move my decimal? We moved it 6 places. So now when I write my mantissa, it'll be 7.6 times 10 to the 6th power. Go ahead and do the next one. What is that going to be in scientific notation?
Use an answer.
3.56
times 10 to the 7th power.
10 to the what? 7th power. 2.56 times 10 to the 7th power. Now let's look at our smaller numbers. I've got 0 decimal, and I've got 1, 2, 3 zeros, 7, 9. Where is my decimal going to go?
7 and 9.
Between the 7 and 9. How many places do I move my decimal?
-4.
It's going -4 places. If it helps you to go ahead and label it like I'm doing, so then that means that when I write my problem, I've got 7.9 times 10 to the -4th power. If it moves to the right, it's going to be a negative exponent. Let's look at the next one. 0 decimal. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 8. Where is my decimal going to go? Where's my decimal going to go in the one?
Right.
Oh, 4.
After
And the 3 is
6 places, so that's going to be a -6 as my exponent. So I'm going to have 4.38 times 10 to the -6th power. Go ahead and do the last one.
two times 10 to the -9.
2 times 10 to the -9th. All right, now we're going to flip-flop and write each number in standard form. So if I have 6.1 times 10 places, am I going to move my decimal? 5 places. Okay, so that means I start and I'm going to write 6.1 and I move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. So I backfill with zeros. So now if my decimal is there, I'm going to have 610,000. Remember, if my exponent is positive, I know I'm going to end up with a large number. Look at the next one. 9.55 times 10 to the 7th. How many places am I moving that decimal? 7 places. So I've got 9.55. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places. Backfill with zeros, each place I had to move. So now I'm going to have 95,500,000. And do the next two. So the first one, you should end up with 6,814,000. And then the last one, yeah,
The last?
one of the positive exponents.
Oh.
All right. So now let's go negative exponents. I have 7.1 times 10 to the -6th power. If it's a negative exponent, which way am I going to move my decimal? I'm moving it to the left. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and have 7.1, and now I'm moving it 6 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know my decimal's going to go there. I'm going to backfill with zeros. So I end up with decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, 7, 1. Next one is 7.99 times 10 to the -7th power. Again, I'm going to go ahead and write the 7.99 over here. Since I have to move to the left, I want to give myself some room. And I move it 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places. Backfill with zeros. So I have decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, then 7, 9, 9. Go ahead and finish. You just did 6.72 times to the negative. I'm going to end up with a decimal and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros, then 6, 5, 7, 2. Then with decimal, I'm with 8 times 10 to the negative 5th. I'm going to have decimal 4 zeros and an 8. Any questions on those? Okay. Let's go ahead and do activities 2 in your workbook right now. So go ahead and work on activities 2, writing each number in scientific notation. Think about where you're going to put your decimal. Did you have to move left or right? So is your exponent positive or negative? Thank you. That's fine. Okay. Since this is a big number, is my exponent going to be positive or negative? Positive. Yeah, big numbers have positive exponents. Little numbers have negatives. If you finish with that, you can turn over to the next page and do activities 3. No, you can do it in your workbook. Since it's not a homework assignment, we're doing it as a classwork. So in your notebook, in your workbook, go ahead and change and write your numbers from scientific notation to standard form. If you're talking, does that mean you're finished?
Are we going up and down for the numbers or side to side?
What?
Do what?
Confused.
Oh, wow. That's the wrong button. It should be in the corner.
I can't read it.
All right, let's get ready and check these. One of the things I also wanted to mention is that I know that I've told you guys to be sure to let me know if y'all need help with anything, that we can set up Zooms and things like that. But also know that if you ever need to come and work on like a test correction or do something during lunchtime, I'm just right next door at lunch. So if you ever need to bring your lunch in there and we need to sit and work on something, if there's just a little question that you have, always know that you can come in there and ask questions anytime that at lunchtime if you need to do that. I just wanted to make sure that y'all know that I'm just right there. I think there's maybe a student or two that'll come in every once in a while. So there's really not anybody. So if you ever need to come in and work on anything at lunchtime, I'm available if you're not able to schedule anything outside and if you're needing help on something. Okay, so let's get ready and go over these answers real quick. Okay, so the first one will be activities 2. I'm going to go down the left-hand column and then the right-hand column. So the first one is 5 decimal 5 times 10 to the 8th power. Underneath that is 9.3 times 10 to the 7th power. Underneath that is 4.27 times 10 to the 9th power. And then 1 times 10 to the 6th power. Why is it 1 and not 10? Why? The first non-zero number. Remember, your decimal goes after the first non-zero number. And do you remember when? We have the first non-zero number, and you remember when we talked about the mantissa? We said it's 1 is less than or equal to m, which is less than 10. It doesn't say less than or equal to 10. Okay, so remember, it has to be between 1 and 10, which means it could be 1, but it has to be under 10. Okay? All righty. Right-hand column. 7.63 times 10 to the negative 7th power. Then you're going to have 1.2 times 10 to the negative 4th. 3.492 times 10 to the negative 7th. And then 4 times 10 to the negative 9th. Any questions on the front page? All right, turn to the back. Activities 3. 2.4 times 10 to the 6th becomes 2,400,000. So that's going to be 2,400,000. Underneath that, it's going to become 7,895,000,000. So 7, 895, 000, 000. Underneath that will be 95,600,000. So you're going to have 95, 600, 000. And then the last one on that side will be 700,000. Right-hand side, I got a decimals and a whole bunch of zeros, and I got that little bitty font. So let's count how many zeros I got here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So I've got decimal, 6 zeros, and then 6, 6. So you should have 6 zeros in front of your 6, 6. 6.78 times 10 to the negative 6. I'm going to have decimal. Then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, and then 6, 7, 8. The next one, I'm going to have a decimal and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros, then 9, 5, 6, 7. And then the last one, I'm going to have a decimal and 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, then 8. Any questions on those?
Wait, I have a question.
What?
The 9.567, how come there's
Yeah, I think
it should be 7
yeah,
I got 7.
Okay, so if your decimal is here, okay, look, if your decimal starts here and you're moving it to the right 7, so that means it started here. So you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
no,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so if your decimal started here at right here, right? That means I have to move it 8 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is where my decimal should go. My decimal is right at the end. In this number, my decimal is between 9 and 5. Your decimal is not after 7. So it starts here and moves 8 left. Okay? So start where your decimal is in the original number.
nice shot.
Get him, Betsy.
All right. Okay. Now we are going to skip over lesson 28.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I want you to turn to lesson 29. Now, one thing I need you to do before next week we are online, but by next week I need you to have some graph paper. So this weekend, if you do not have graph paper at home, you can find it online and print it out where it's black lines and you just print it out on the printer, that's fine. Or you can go purchase graph paper. It is totally up to you which one you want to do, but you need graph paper for next week. It doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. Now, listen up, please. Just know, I would probably go with the 1-inch graph. I mean, or not 1 inch. The main thing is that it's going to be. You don't want them to be too tiny to where when you're having to make graphs that it's teeny tiny. But I mean, you can kind of see how and on this page, you can see kind of the size of the squares. So about that size would be good. Again, you can get it online. Actually, you know what I need to do?
Do you?
See.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Pardon?
Shut up.
I'm just going back.
There's a mini presentation. I did not know that.
Give me the water.
Y'all stay out of the, don't, hey, did y'all get that out of the fridge? Jonas, is that out of the fridge?
Yeah.
Is that yours?
No one was.
You're gonna steal from a church?
They hadn't restocked it. No one was drinking.
But is it yours? Like if, I mean, that's what I, like if you see a car sitting outside and it's got keys in it, are you gonna go, well, nobody's taking it. I mean, I can just have it. I mean, it's sat there for 2 days with the keys in it. Why isn't it mine? Has it been opened?
No. Well, I don't know if she opened it. You acted like you opened it.
I'm just shocked that I even have to address this. Come on, guys.
Two guys, real two. It was Sadie. She went to the bathroom just because she knew that she was gonna be in trouble. She was like, "I'm gonna go
Oh my
bathroom." No. Do you grab one? Well, I actually have here. Yeah.
Katie. Katie, I like your jacket. I like your hoodie.
Come on, guys. Hey, guys. Come on. Seriously? I mean, what is going on here? I mean, Algebra 1 is supposed to be a high school level class, right? Here I'm trying to help y'all out by sending y'all ready-made graphs, but I'll find it later and try to send it because obviously my attention turned away can't be handled. I'm trying to figure out why this has got to be an issue every day. I feel like every time I come in here, and maybe I just need to crack down harder and not be so lenient. I don't know if that's what I need to be more strict. Because I guess maybe I need to break the tables apart. I don't know what I need to do. I've never had to deal with this like this with a class in the 6 years I've taught at the co-op. I dealt with it when I had 30 years in a classroom. 10. I dealt with it. So like I said, by Monday, I need y'all to have some graph paper. We're going to start working on graphing, obviously. This is going to start our unit with graphing. And so one of the things about a graph or a grid, we also call it a coordinate plane. And so in that coordinate plane, I guess I'll just need to make it bigger. And I'm on page 63. And it says if two number lines are placed on a plane perpendicular to each other and intersect at point 0, they can be used to describe the location of any point on the plane. The grid that is formed is known as the coordinate plane or the Cartesian plane. Okay, typically you're going to see it called the coordinate plane, coordinate grid, something like that. Cartesian is just named after the guy who named it. Okay, so that's all it means. All right, the horizontal number line. Show me with your arms what direction horizontal is. Okay, horizontal, side to side, okay? It's going out side to side. Which way is vertical? Okay, vertical up and down, all right? So when I put two lines that intersect, and I've got a horizontal and a vertical, it breaks my grid into four different coordinates. Four different quadrants. Okay, so you can see this in the bottom of the green box on 63. Now, one of the things to note, and this is something that you're going to need to know as far as the quadrants go. My quadrant 1 starts on the top right corner. Quadrant 2 moves to the left. So I start at the top right, and then I'm going counterclockwise to 2, 3, and 4. So you can see that in the green box at the bottom of 63. Now also, inside these quadrants, you can see where I have plus signs and minus signs, okay? So quadrant 1, when it says plus plus, that means when I have my ordered pair that names a location in that quadrant, they're both going to be positive numbers. So quadrant 1, all of my numbers are going to be positive. When I move to the left to quadrant 2, my X value will be negative and my Y value will be positive. Quadrant 3, they're both going to be negative. And quadrant 4, X will be positive and Y will be negative. Okay? Those two lines, the horizontal that break this into a quadrant, we call these our X and Y axes. Okay? So X runs side to side. So every time you draw a graph, I recommend that you label it to where you've got X going side to side and Y is top to bottom. That way it helps you to know when I have a coordinate, okay? So like I said, X, Y is going to be a coordinate. I have an X location and a Y location. So if I were going to graph the number 3, 2, because 3 is in the X location, that means I'm going to move along the X axis first. So I start at what we call my origin, which is in the middle. 0, 0 is my origin. And because my number is 3, I'm going to move, because it's positive, I'm going to move to the right 3 places on the X axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I'm moving to the right 3. So I'll just go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I've got to look at my Y value, which is the number 2. 2 is positive, so that means I'm going to go up. So from that point at 3, I go up 1, 2. At that point, I would go ahead and draw my dot, and that is going to be the location of the ordered pair 3, 2. Now let's look at what would happen if it was negative. Let's say I had negative 3, negative 2. Again, I start at my origin, but this time I'm going to go to the left 3 because it's a negative 3. So I go 1, 2, 3 to the left. And since it's a negative 2, I go down 2. So I go left 3, down 2. So that is where negative 3, negative 2 would be. If I had negative 3, positive 2, I start at the origin, I move left 3, 1, 2, 3, and then up 2. And at that point is negative 3, positive 2. And then if I wanted a positive 3, negative 2, start at the origin, go right 1, 2, 3, and then down 2. So that's 3, negative 2. So that's what it means when it talks about positive, positive. It means my X value is positive, my Y value is positive, so it's going to be located in quadrant 1. If X is negative and Y is positive, it's located in quadrant 2 because we moved to the left, which is negative, but then we went up, which is positive. If they're both negatives, that means I went to the left and down, so that's quadrant 3. If X is positive but Y is negative, I moved to the right but down. Okay? So what I want to talk about for just a minute is that positive values. This will be just write this below your green box. Positive values indicate movement to the right or up. Negative values indicate movement to the left or down. Okay, so when I see a positive number, I know that means I've either moved to the right or I'm moving up. If I see a negative, that means left or down. So in the green box, we talked about the x-axis is our horizontal axis, the y-axis is the vertical axis. They intersect, they are perpendicular, so they intersect at the origin, which is point 0. That intersection breaks it into 4 different quadrants. To name our quadrants, we start at the top right and go counterclockwise. Now let's go ahead and get classwork 1. And it says to give the quadrant for each point, identify the quadrant. So let's look at point A. To get to point A, remember I need to name my ordered pair as X, Y. So that means the first thing I've got to do is move along my x-axis to get to A. So I'm going side to side first. To get to A, how many places to the right do I move from the origin? 2 places to the right. So my x-coordinate will be a 2. From that 2 on the x-axis, am I going up or down? How many places? 1. So my ordered pair for A is going to be 2, 1. Yes. Quickly. All right, let's look at letter B. From the origin, am I moving left or right?
Right.
Right. For B, I need to move right 1. So that means my x coordinate is going to be 1. But from 1, am I moving up or down? Down. So if I move down, is my number going to be positive or negative? Negative, and it's going to be a negative 2. So B is 1, negative 2. From the origin, I move to the right 1, but down 2. Let's look at letter C. Starting at the origin, how many places am I moving side to side? Negative 2, which means I'm moving to the left. So I go left 2, and then am I going up or down? Down 1. So negative 2, negative 1 is my ordered pair there. And for letter D, what is my ordered pair for D? Negative 1, positive 2, because I had to left then go up 2. Is everybody comfortable understanding how your number is going to be positive or negative? If you move to the right or up, it's a positive number. Down or left is a negative number. All righty. Point A is in which quadrant?
The first one.
Quadrant 1. Where is point B?
The fourth one.
4. Quadrant C. I mean,
Three.
sorry. Point C is in 3, and D is in 2. Good job. Okay. So let's go ahead and we will start. Since we don't have graph paper, we'll pick up on Tuesday with activities 2 with graphing. So that's, like I said, we need the first thing we need on Tuesday. On Monday is going to be graph paper. So we'll be starting with graphing on Monday. I am going to go ahead and pass out your test. So you will have a hard copy and you won't have to print it out. There is a place we need to number it. You need to put your name on it. I'm piecing together parts because the way that the textbook does tests is they do a test for every 10 sections. So whether the material is really related or not, they give you a test on whatever is after 10 lessons. I don't like that. I like for my lessons to be coordinated. I like for it to all kind of go together. So, so that is why I have to kind of piece together some stuff. So when I pass this out, go ahead and put your name on it. Go ahead and mark out the scientific notation at the bottom. That is not part of the test.
Do we still do it?
Yeah, listen up. Hold on. I want you to have time to study for your test. So what I want you to do is this test will not be due until Thursday of next week. It will need to be uploaded. Okay. I will put a place on the website so you can either upload it, or if you would rather take a picture of it and email it or text it to me, that's fine as well. It just needs to be to me by next Thursday. Evelyn.
Can scientific notation be extra?
Huh?
Can it be bonus?
Can scientific notation be bonus?
No,
Yes. Okay. So here, I'll tell you what will be the bonus on this. Okay, listen up. You can either mark out scientific notation and not do it, or you can do it for bonus. Look on the back page. On the back page, we have two of our problems where we're having to solve.
Is extraneous?
Extraneous can be for bonus as well. Okay. Now, and actually, look at the back page for a minute. This whole problem will be bonus over here with the absolute value. So you can either do it or not do it. Okay, remember when I do absolute values, I have to solve for the positive and the negative. So since that was not in this unit that we're doing with radicals, that can be a bonus problem. Okay, so on the one with the radical, you can, extraneous will be bonus. I won't count that against you for not doing extraneous. So let's go ahead and walk through this for a minute. Go ahead and number these. Let's go from left to right. So at the top, activities at the top, just go from side to side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there's 12 on the front, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 problems on the front. Turn over on the back. This first one will be number 13. And number 14 will be bonus.
Do we do this on the extra sheet of paper? Or do we do it?
If you need to use other paper, just staple it to it. You can do all your work on the test. If you have room, you can do the work on the test as long as I can see the answer and it's circled and I know exactly what the answer is. If you need extra paper, use extra paper and just staple it to the test and just, or upload it, you know, send it to me.
Are we doing any activities in lesson 27?
We are not. Okay. So all of our homework, number 1 will be to catch up, and if you did not do lesson 26 homework, get that done. Check it, correct it.
Whatever you want to check.
We checked them in class. I told you to write them down. Okay. So we do not have homework from the textbook unless you're catching up.
This yours?
Yeah, there's just an extra. And then the test will be due next Thursday. My recommendation is get it done as soon as possible because the longer you wait, the less you're going to remember. Okay? But then on Monday, we will need graph paper. We'll be starting with our graphing unit. Oh, my God. Jennifer, look around your area, make sure you've gotten everything cleaned up.
Is this graph paper okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
I was just making sure it wasn't too small.
No, that's right.
Better safe to ask than have to go get something.
I understand.
This phone with a flip phone feature. Because it Jennifer,
Yes.
early 2000s. So, will I choose to do the test this weekend? Because I will be here next Thursday.
So what you'll need to do